Remember, as you all know, this is my first press conference in 6 months, and there is so much to talk about. I'm bringing jobs back. I'm picking the best cabinet, so you can all see why I got to fake this national emergency. Right? I have to, because I want to. It's really simple. And I'll say it's time to repay the Donny, and he'll say, "New phone, who this?" And we will then be sued. And they will sue us in the 9th Circuit, and then we'll get another bad ruling, and then we'll end up in the Supreme Court. Also, we have another summit coming up in Hanoi with the North Korean leader, Chairman Kim, who, by the way, is a very cool, misunderstood guy. I'm really looking forward to seeing him next week. It is dinner for schmucks, as he calls them. Let's cut to the chase, folks. What happens when a reluctant comedian becomes a political powerhouse? When jokes turn into jabs that actually hurt? When Saturday Night Live becomes scarier than Monday morning memos? Alec Baldwin's journey from May to MAGA's worst nightmare is more twisted than Trump's tweets. And trust me, you're going to want to see how this train wreck turns into a triumph. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Picture this: Alec Baldwin chilling at home, probably sipping some fancy tea when his phone rings. It's SNL calling, and they've got a wild idea. "Hey Alec, want to play Trump?" Now, you'd think Baldwin would jump at the chance, right? Wrong. Our boy Alec was all, "Nope, not happening." Can you imagine the guy who's known for his sharp wit and killer impressions saying no to playing the biggest character in politics? It's like telling a kid they can't have ice cream for dinner. But SNL wasn't taking no for an answer. They kept pushing, probably harder than Trump pushes his perfect phone calls. Why were they so set on Baldwin? Maybe it was his perfectly coiffed hair, or his ability to purse his lips just right, or maybe they knew he'd be the perfect thorn in Trump's side. After all, Baldwin and Trump go together like pineapple on pizza. Some people love it, others think it's an abomination. Now let's talk about Baldwin's past with Trump. These two weren't exactly besties. In fact, they were more like oil and water, or maybe more like Trump and facts. They just don't mix. So when Baldwin finally caved and said yes, you got to wonder why. Was it the challenge of becoming the ultimate grumpy Trump? Or maybe it was the paycheck. Let's face it, playing a president probably pays better than playing a boss baby. Saying yes was just the beginning. Baldwin had to actually become Trump. Imagine showing up to your first day of work and realizing you have no idea what you're doing. That was Baldwin at his first rehearsal. He was probably sweating more than Trump at a salad bar. Baldwin admitted he had no clue what he was going to do. He'd never even tried to imitate Trump before. It's like being asked to perform brain surgery when you've only ever played operation. Then came the transformation. Makeup, wig, and suddenly orange. You glad he said yes? Baldwin described the moment he stepped onto the stage as if he'd found Trump's secret off switch. All he had to do was stick out his face, raise an eyebrow, and say, "Huge." And it was like he'd cracked the Da Vinci Code of Trump impersonations. And boy, did the audience eat it up. When Baldwin made his first appearance as Trump, people lost their minds. It was like watching a magician pull a rabbit out of a hat, except the rabbit was orange and kept yelling about fake news. Trump, on the other hand, was not amused. I guess he doesn't appreciate art when it's making fun of him. Who knew? Baldwin quickly realized he tapped into something big. Like he'd stumbled onto Trump's kryptonite, comedy. It was like he'd found the magic words to send the president into a Twitter tantrum. All he had to do was purse his lips and say huge, and boom, Trump was firing up his tiny thumbs, faster than you can say, cough. You think turning into Trump is as easy as slapping on some orange paint and making weird faces. So I'm going to sign these papers for the emergency, and then I'll immediately be sued, and the ruling will not go in my favor, and they'll end up in the Supreme Court, and then I'll call my buddy Kavanaugh. I asked President X if they had a drug problem in Gina, so you can all see why I got to fake this national emergency. Say right, I have to because I want to. It's really simple. Jackie, what's your face? And best of all, we've got the one rocket with the least money in her savings. Enough progress has been made in the talks with China. Look, you're asking the wrong guy. Think again, folks. Alec Baldwin's transformation into Donald Trump was more extreme than a presidential makeover gone wild. It's like he signed up for Extreme Makeover, White House edition, without reading the fine print. Baldwin spent hours in the makeup chair, getting slathered with more orange goop than a carrot farm during harvest season. And that hair, it's like trying to recreate a cotton candy tornado on your head. But the real kicker was Baldwin having to perfect his Trump face. Picture this, a grown man standing in front of a mirror, pushing out his lips and squinting his eyes like he's trying to read the fine print on a McDonald's menu. His wife probably thought he was having a stroke. Becoming Trump wasn't just about looking like a human Cheeto. It was about sounding like one too. Baldwin dedicated months to studying Trump's speeches, like binge-watching a reality show where the main character thinks he's the smartest person in the room, but can't string together a coherent sentence. Baldwin had to master sounding intelligent while saying things that made less sense than a drunk uncle at Thanksgiving. He described Trump as someone always searching for a better word and never finding it, like watching a toddler try to solve a Rubik's Cube. Frustrating, but you can't look away. And let's not forget those tiny hands. Small, but with big moves. Baldwin had to learn Trump's signature gestures, probably by watching endless loops of Trump rallies. It was like trying to learn interpretive dance from a windsock in a hurricane. But here's where things got weird. Baldwin started seeing Trump everywhere. In his cornflakes, in his coffee, in the mirror when he was brushing his teeth. It was method acting gone wild, with the line between Baldwin and Trump starting to blur. Is Baldwin playing Trump, or is Trump playing him? It was like a political version of Inception. Baldwin said playing Trump was like eating nothing but fast food for years, bad for your body and brain. Imagine having to think like Trump all the time. It's enough to make you want to build a wall around your own sanity. Even Baldwin's family got in on the act. His kids started asking why Daddy looked like a sad tangerine. It was like living with your own personal mini roast squad. Baldwin's impression became so good that some folks actually preferred it to the real Trump, like when you go to a concert and the cover band sounds better than the original. Baldwin's Trump was so spot on. It was like he found Trump's secret off switch and flicked it every time he stepped on stage. But it seemed like the man with the nuclear codes couldn't handle a little comedy. Picture this, Trump sitting in the White House, probably munching on McDonald's when he catches wind of Baldwin's impression. He lost his cool faster than you can say fake news. Trump started hammering out insults like it was his job. He called the show unfunny and said Baldwin's portrayal stunk. Real presidential, right? He seemed to forget he had a country to run and decided his main priority was critiquing late-night TV. But here's the kicker. Every time Trump threw a Twitter tantrum about Baldwin, SNL's ratings went through the roof. Baldwin's Trump became his personal hype man. Except instead of shouting, "Yeah, boy," he was screaming, "Sad and overrated." But hey, in the world of show business, there's no such thing as bad press, right? Baldwin wasn't about to back down. Nope. Alec decided to double down harder than Trump at an all-you-can-eat buffet. He kept pushing buttons, refining his impression, and driving Trump absolutely bonkers. It was like watching two kids fight over who gets to be class clown. Except one of them had access to nuclear launch codes. The public reaction was wild. People were eating this up like it was the last slice of pizza at a party, and critics were falling over themselves, praising Baldwin's ability to capture Trump's unique quirks. They said Baldwin had crawled into Trump's skin, which sounds kinda gross. But hey, that's showbiz, baby. Of course, Trump's loyal supporters weren't thrilled and started throwing around terms like fake news, faster than Trump throws paper, towels at hurricane victims, but it didn't matter. Baldwin's impression resonated with a huge audience, and suddenly, he wasn't just that guy from 30 Rock anymore. Baldwin found himself transforming into something else entirely. He became a political commentator in a bad wig and way too much bronzer. It was like he accidentally stumbled into a new career while trying to make people laugh. Talk about a happy accident. SNL's ratings soared higher than Trump's ego. Turns out presidential anger is great for business. Who knew? It's like Trump became the world's angriest marketing manager, driving viewers to SNL in droves every time he hit that tweet button. But here's where it gets really interesting. Trump's tweets, which were meant to shut Baldwin down, actually became his best publicity. It was like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. It just made everything bigger and brighter. Baldwin's star rose faster than the national debt under a Republican administration. So guess what? Baldwin's Trump impression wasn't just a one-hit wonder. No, it turned into a full-blown political phenomenon. Who would have thought that a guy best known for yelling at his daughter on voicemail would become America's favorite fake president? Remember when actors used to go on talk shows to chat about their latest blockbuster? Well, Baldwin didn't get the memo. Instead of promoting his next big film, he started showing up as Trump to talk policy. Talk about a career change. But here's the million-dollar question. Was Baldwin still just an actor, or had he become something more? It was like Baldwin woke up one day and thought, you know what? The world needs more Trump. So he went and wrote an entire book as the Donald. Because apparently, we didn't have enough of the orange guy in our lives. But here's the kicker. People ate it up like it was the last Big Mac in the White House kitchen. What does it say about our country when a satirical book becomes required reading for understanding the president? But hold on to your TP, folks, because things got even weirder. People started seeing the real Trump through Baldwin's fake Trump. It was like Baldwin's impression became some kind of political Rosetta Stone, helping folks decode Trump's unique, let's call it, communication style. Suddenly, Baldwin wasn't just making jokes. He was making sense of the nonsense. And let's be real, there was a lot of nonsense to make sense of. Yes, this is real life. This is really happening. On January 20th, I, Donald J. Trump, will become the 45th President of the United States. So you don't think about it. I'm shocked by that because I figured it was something you'd been doing. That's what I should say. I worked on it for months. Also, we have another summit coming up in Hanoi with the North Korean leader, Chairman Kim, who, by the way, is a very cool, misunderstood guy. Hey guys, who is excited for my inauguration day? You're not one of those people. Well, I wouldn't say I'm not lobbying, but people would say, would you do it? And there's a couple of guys on the internet who are like, no, please, I'm the only man. We should play Trump. Baldwin's Trump became the go-to guy for translating Trumpese into English. Can't understand why the president is ranting about CIF at 3 a.m. Don't worry, Baldwin's got you covered. It's like he became the unofficial Trump whisperer, interpreting the president's tweets for the confused masses. But here's where it gets really interesting. Baldwin started questioning if he was still just an actor, or if he'd become some kind of accidental political figure. I mean, when you spend more time pretending to be the president than actually, acting, it's bound to mess with your head. It's like method acting gone wild. Instead of becoming a character for a movie, Baldwin became the voice of the resistance. And let's not forget the toll this took on poor Alec. Playing Trump wasn't just annoying anymore. It was exhausting.